Hi, this is Shelly Kraft, and we're coming to you live on SNNLive, and we are on location. We're at the Weizmann Institute of Science here in Rehovot, Israel, right outside of Tel Aviv. I have the pleasure of sitting here with Professor Mordechai Sheves, known very favorably as Moody, M-U-D-I. Moody, welcome to SNNLive, and it's a pleasure to be here in Israel.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming to Israel and Weizmann Institute all the way from United States. We appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure and the pleasure of the whole crew to be here. So I think we should start out by getting a little bit of a historical perspective about the Weizmann Institute. So you can give us a little history.
Okay. Weizmann Institute was established in 1934 by Dr. Chaim Weitzman, that he used to work in England, University of Manchester, and he came to Israel and established here an institute for organic chemistry, only organic chemistry. He was an organic chemist. The name was not Weizmann Institute. It was called Ziv Institute. It was supported by Ziv family. They lived in England and owned Marks and Spencer and then supported here. And the name Weizmann Institute was given to this institute only in 1949. And as I said, it started from organic chemistry, and in 1949 it was expanded to other fields, life science, mathematics, physics, until what we have today. It's a big institute with about 3,000 people. So it's a big success story, Weizmann Institute.
You know, it is a big success story, and I know that there are professors of science from many walks of life that participate in the success of the Weizmann Institute. And I was telling you a little story earlier, and it's a true story, that I go to many, many conferences around the world, and invariably someone will come up and do an interview with me, and they'll say, and the technology comes from Israel, and it comes out of the Weizmann Institute. So tell me, what's involved in someone coming to the Weizmann Institute, and what do they do when they come here?
Okay, actually, the aim of Weizmann Institute is to carry out what we call basic science. Our first aim is not to develop technologies or new technologies. People come here to do curiosity-driven science, and namely they want to understand how nature works, what are the rules of nature, and they work on problems they are interested in. And what Weizmann Institute is doing, we don't tell the people that come here or that we recruit actually what to do. They have complete academic freedom to do what they want. Weitzman, or the management of Weitzman, tries only to give them excellent infrastructure, to give them freedom to think, and to allow them to take risks. And if you combination of these things, we believe, makes a very good science. Now, if you make a very good science, basic science, we believe that many times you can extract applications from that if you don't neglect it. And then the question how we can extract application from our basic science and what to do with that.
Now, that's a really good segue to what I was going to ask you next is, what is the role that you play at the Weizmann Institute?
You mean myself? So basically, I'm an organic chemist, and I work in Weizmann Institute for many years in organic chemistry department. I will not bother you and bore you with my field, what I'm doing about in my research. But recently, I'm serving as the Vice President for Technology Transfer in Weizmann Institute. And the fact that Weizmann Institute is having a Vice President for Technology Transfer That means that the Weizmann Institute also put efforts and regard this operation of technology transfer as an important operation. So actually, if I can elaborate a little bit more about that, the Weizmann Institute established a company named YEDA. YEDA in Hebrew is knowledge. We established this company in 1959. We were the first in Israel to do this, and one of the first in the world. We were pioneered in that. And the role of this company, YEDA, is the arm of technology transfer of Weizmann Institute. The company tries to locate good technologies or good ideas from the campus, from Weizmann campus, and try to transfer these technologies, these ideas to the private sector. And actually, that's what the Vice President of Technology Transfer of Weitzman is in charge of.
Well, I can tell you that technology transfer is important to humanity throughout the world, because that's the only way that what's developed on the campus can get commercially viable and can get out into the marketplace. Now, we use a word to describe something like this in the United States, and I think it's true about the Weizmann Institute, whether you know it or not. But it sounds to me like you're incubating technology and science and then developing it accordingly, and it might be ready for the commercialization, or it still yet might need to go through additional preclinical trials and clinical trials and efficacy studies and even, you name it after that.
Yeah, that's of course, and this is it's very important issue, that all the technologies that or ideas, discoveries that are developing in Weizmann Institute, and this is true also for other universities, they are very early technologies. They are the technologies that are developed in laboratories here, and usually they are far from being products in the market. They need a lot of development, a lot of manpower, investment, and in the end also money. Okay, and this is, but our model here is that we don't do all this operation. And we try to license our technologies to the private sector, companies, startups, or established companies, that they will take our technologies and try to develop it and to bring it to the market. It's very important for us that the product or the technology will enter the market, because this is one of our mission. Because Weizmann Institute is publicly funded organization, at least partially we funded by the public. So it's our obligation that if we have good ideas or good technology, to take care that it will come back to society to improve human condition. And this is one of the main reasons we are dealing with technology transfer, because if we will not take care of that, if we will not file patents, nowadays you need patents, if you will not file it, then the product will not come to society back.
Not only is the world wanting the technology that's developed, they also want some of the byproducts, which happens to be the intelligence, the people, because they're highly sought after in the business world, people who've been trained at the Weizmann Institute. So I just want to make that as a comment. I think you would, of course, agree with that.
Yeah, that's you made a very important comment. If we are talking about technology transfer, it's not only the technology itself or products in the market, which is important, but also all our people or students that finish here PhD and so on, and then they go to any other institution or companies and so on. They contribute a lot to society, to economy. This is our, in a way, we can call it also technology transfer.
It's your byproduct. Now, let me ask you a question. Can you tell me maybe a couple of the discoveries that today were discovered at Weizmann Institute that are out in the field being used today? I know that's an interesting question. You may not be prepared to give us too many answers, but if there's one or two maybe you can think of.
Yeah, I can give you a few examples and stories that actually the end of the story is a product in the market. And if we start from the end, we have a drug in the market called Copaxone. This is indicated for multiple sclerosis. And it was developed, the drug itself was developed and it's distributed and sold today by Teva. It's a big pharmaceutical company in Israel. And this is actually an interesting story because the basic science for this drug was carried out in Weitzman in the late 60s by Professor Michael Sella and Ruth Arnon. And they did, again, basic science. They didn't develop a drug. They wanted to understand the mechanism of the disease. And to make the story short, during the research, they came across a compound that they noticed that this compound can be against the disease, and they didn't neglect it, and they continued to work on it. We filed the first patent by Yeda. Yeda filed the first patent in 1971. And then this technology faced what we call the Death Valley. Namely, nobody wanted or to take the risk and to invest money in this technology. They didn't believe in this, maybe. But the people here in Weitzman, the scientists, they continued to work on it. And it took us 16 years until 1987 to convince Teva to license this technology and to develop the drug. And the drug, the technology, entered the market in the late 90s, and it's sold in the market until today. I think the share of this drug of the multiple sclerosis market worldwide is around 30% or more. Last year, the sales of the Copaxone were close to $4 billion worldwide. So this is one, we are very happy about that, not only because the royalty we receive, but also because so many patients around the world enjoy Weitzman technology. I can give you another example. We have another drug in the market, it's called Rebif. We have, namely, it's based on Weitzman technology, Weitzman development. This is also a drug that indicated for multiple sclerosis, but was developed by a completely different group, different research in Weitzman, Professor Michel Ravel and Professor Menachem Rubinstein. And it was licensed to a company in Israel, that time, I think in 1982. And this company was later purchased by Serono. This is a big pharmaceutical company in Switzerland. And they develop it and they sell the drug today. And I think also it's the share on the market, I think it's above 20% of worldwide market. So Weitzman products control more than the 50% of the multiple sclerosis market worldwide. And we have several other products in the market, but maybe these two examples give you some hint what we are about.
It does. It's exactly the right answer that I was looking for. I have a couple of other questions before I let you get back to your day. Let's talk about two things in particular. Feasibility studies. You know, when does a development in the Weizmann Institute lend itself to become part of a feasibility study? Number one, and another part of that question, or separately speaking, does Weizmann Institute do clinical trials in-house?
No, as I mentioned, our technologies are early technologies. Feasibility is that people run tests in the laboratory. If we are talking about life science, and that's they mostly do experiment with mice, or animals, small mice, and then we get feasibility, in a way, feasibility in mice. We don't do preclinical or clinical studies in Weitzmann. We are not built to do that, and this should be done, we believe this should be done by professionals, usually. Everything should be done by professionals. So we know how to do basic science. We are not expert in doing this kind of development or to run companies, and that's the reason we look for other people to establish companies or to give the license to establish company, and they will do the preclinical or clinical studies.
Ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like the perfect model to me, especially in light of the fact that so much research is going on, so much basic science is going. I mean, this is a complex of many, many buildings with 3,000 people on campus. So I look forward to all of the current and the future developments. And I know sometimes it could take years before the treatment or cure of something comes out, from ordinarily speaking. So what does the future have in store for you?
Well, future, in science, you need patience. Okay, you need good ideas, but a lot of patience. And when you start something today, the fruits of that define the question: what are fruits? Fruits of basic science, and it will take long time. If you are talking about technology that will come to the market, usually it takes many years. So what we are looking in Weizmann Institute is to open new fields, to make breakthrough in science, to have good ideas and try to develop it. And as I said, we need patience. And if you have good ideas and you have patience, in the end you have results.
Excellent summation, I must say. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shelly Kraft, along with Moody, Professor Mordechai Sheves. We're at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot, Israel, right outside of Tel Aviv. I can't thank you enough. Continue the good work. God bless and shalom, and we'll see you soon another time.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and I hope you will come again to Weizmann Institute.
I look forward to it.